Hey everyone, Pieman12 here. Welcome back to Human Fall Flat. Basically, Human Fall Flat is a platforming puzzle game. Some puzzles can be pretty involved and some are, well, they aren't exactly hard puzzles. Well, regardless of the puzzle difficulty, I want to know if I can skip every single puzzle in the game. Now, if you've been on the channel long enough, you may recall that I've actually played this game before and we did some stuff. For a quick recap though, last time we made our character Clifford the Big Red Communist. Look at him, isn't he cute? The other major thing from last episode you'll want to know about is learning to climb. Basically, if you swing your character while holding onto a surface with one hand and then grip onto the surface at the apex of your swing, you'll make so much progress. Fantastic. It's really useful, but more than that, it's just entertaining to watch a friend scuttle up a wall doing this. There are 12 levels in the game and it starts off easy enough, but as you progress, the levels get longer and the puzzles get harder. Okay, so this is the tutorial level. There are some objects that, if you grab, will play a video showing off some basic mechanics of the game. Fun fact, you can actually jump onto the videos if you're close enough. Anyways, the puzzles in this level, if you can call them that, basically amount to buttons you have to press to open doors. The first door doesn't have a button, the second door has one button, the third door has two buttons vertically aligned, and the fourth and final door has two buttons horizontally aligned. This is also the first and only spot where you will hear unprompted narration in the game.
Humans, they will run into every door they encounter.
Shut up. For now, let's just consider the doors in this level the puzzles that we have to skip. A way we could skip all of the doors is to treat this like we're doing a parkour level. If we gained a little momentum, we could clear the gap to the right of the starting platform. From there, we could jump and climb up the wall to the left, allowing us to skip the first door, which, as a reminder, just requires you to walk into to pass. To actually skip those button doors, we can jump across the gap and pull ourselves up to the final platform. Finally, we can shimmy around this tree here and launch ourselves at the door from behind. We don't actually need to hit the door for the trigger for the next level to be activated, but we won't be doing that. Remember that jump from the higher platform to the final platform? That's literally an achievement. I don't know about you guys, but I think being able to jump across these gaps is somewhat intentional. So yeah, even though we can avoid that particular jump by going to the right instead of the left and swinging over to the bridge, I think even that first jump should be off limits for us. So if we can't jump the gaps and we can't go through the doors, then how should we beat the level? If we just lower ourselves down off the side of the map, you can actually see that the level is completely flat down here. We can use this to our advantage by doing this super graceful movement where we climb on the ceiling like some sort of unending horror. Uh-oh. Trouble in paradise. It looks like this ceiling might not be as flat as I was led to believe. That's okay though, because we can climb our way up, no problem. And we made it. Hopefully that's the most challenging. And at the very end of this platform is where the exit is. Grab the door from the outside a little bit, and onwards to level 2. Ouch! Okay, so this level is called Train. You know, because there's a big ol'... you get it. Anyways, let me explain real quick all the puzzles we're gonna skip. So, after you move the dumpster, you can solve train car puzzle rooms 1, 2, and 3. Then you come to this weird spot where instead of one locked door, you apparently have 2. Then you come up here to the final puzzle. After you adjust the trains a little bit, you can just jump across them and then head to the exit canopy. So, how do we break it? If you were thinking about going under the level again, you're not wrong about it working, but I think we can do better. So just to explore some options here, speedrunners really like using this train since it skips to the last puzzle, which is right next to the exit. But is there a way that avoids using the trains? You know, the gimmick of this level. Well, as it turns out, yes. In my last video, I showed off a route that skips everything by swinging around a wall on the left side of the level. So, we've explored going up the train and to the left side, but what about the right side? First, we just need to swing around the right side of this wall, and we will repeat that for this next wall. Alley-oop! This third wall is a little tricky since the next room's floor is raised, but we can grab onto that floor, no problem. Now, in this room, we could jump across the train and then to the platform like in the normal puzzle, but that would be using a train car and doing the puzzle normally. Thankfully, we don't have to think too hard about how to circumvent that though. all we really need to do is approach this wall and swing climb our way up. Once we're up here, we can just swing around these two walls with doors on them to skip their puzzles. Now, yes, we could have gotten here way faster by taking that left path, but wasn't this way flashier? Anyways, you might be thinking about how I'm actually going to skip the puzzle from here. Well, if I gained enough momentum, I could actually jump across the trains, which means I wouldn't have to pull any trains to beat the level. But we can actually completely avoid touching the trains here too. All we have to do is jump to this balcony and pull ourselves up. Then we can swing around the wall that has the exit door and voila! We'll just give the door a firm tug and be on our way to the next level. Oof! Okay, welcome to the third level, Carry. In this level, there are 4 puzzle rooms in total. The first room, which is where we are standing, you have to take that box and put it on that button, which opens that door. In the second room, you have to reach up for the box before you put it on the button. In the third room, you have to use an elevator to reach the button with the box. In the fourth and final room, you have to use the elevator, pull yourself across a gap using a train car, then you can finally open the exit door with the box and button. So, not too complicated as far as puzzle solving goes. Avoiding the puzzles is actually even easier. The speedrunning route for this level just involves swinging around the wall on the right side, then climbing on top of the wall at the low point, at which point you can just walk along the wall towards the exit. My plan is going to be pretty similar to that. Just to show that it isn't just the right side that works for this, let's head left. We can start by jumping and pulling ourselves up to this raised box platform without any real trouble. Since the platform is raised and the wall is not, we can jump from here onto the wall without any real issue either. From here, it's as simple as walking along the wall to the exit. Now we can just drop down and grab the door again. Alright, another one down. And so many more to go. Okay guys, welcome to level 4, Mountain. This level, along with all the future levels, is actually going to be a lot longer than the previous ones, so I'm going to keep the explanations a little bit more general to save time. Basically, the gimmick in this level is that you're supposed to jump on those platforms and then climb up to do some more puzzle solving. There's a couple of train car related puzzles up there, but nothing too crazy. Because the gimmick is to jump from platform to platform, we actually need to come up with a strategy that avoids using platforms altogether. We can't really use speedrun strats here because they all jump platform to platform, but thankfully I've thought of a solution, although this is going to take us a while. Basically all we're going to do is we're going to go this way, and instead of jumping onto the platform, we're actually just going to jump off to the side here. Now all we really need to do is just let go with one hand, swing on over, and grab on again. And then let go and repeat. This will allow us to actually climb horizontally, and we're going to need this coming up very soon. And just like that, we have made it onto the platform that we were intending to get onto. Okay, but we're down here on the floor and the finish is way up there. So how are we gonna do this? In theory, we could climb up this ramp, but then we have more platforms that we need to jump over. So this is a no-go. Instead, what we're gonna need to do is we're gonna need to climb all the way across this rock face until we get to the end. For you guys, this will probably be a minute, but for me, it might be like 2 hours? Anyways, every time you do like that swing, you lose a bit of verticality, so I actually think I want to climb up first. I'll see you guys at the top. It's a little bit hard to see, but we have that lighter rock over there, and then we have a darker rock there, and then behind that is another rock that we need to climb over. Oh, I guess a fun fact while we're up here, there's actually an achievement in that cave. So if you want one, you can just get it by climbing around the side, or, you know, going up like a normal person. That's one rock down, so many more to go. You know, I'm not really sure how much of this footage I'm going to be keeping in, so I guess I'll cut back if anything interesting happens. Kinda like that. Okay, so I made some progress, and actually, I found a pretty good angle to show off what the rest of the plan is. Basically, what we want to do is we want to go to these rocks on the left, and then we want to swing from one rock to another until we're at this final platform. Then we'll actually go underneath the rock here, and travel all the way to the other side. where we'll have to climb up to the exit, which is in that house. That's the basic idea anyways. We'll see how that goes in execution. This is just like the boring part. I'm sorry. It sucks. Okay, so as you can see, none of these pillars are actually connected by anything. So we're gonna have to swing from one to the other. And I know some of you are probably thinking that like, oh, this would count as going across platforms, right? Isn't this failing a puzzle? Let me break this down for you. There's only a couple of ways that we can actually get across this canyon. There's jumping across these rocks normally, or there's going to that tree off in the distance and using the rope to swing across to the other side of the canyon. I don't think that the developers of the game actually intended for you to just like, I don't know, swing to the other rock. So yeah, we're doing a little bit of platforming, but definitely not in the ways that the devs intended for you to. And we swing to the final platform! And technically, yes, we could still get to the top like normal, but there are puzzles to be had up there, so down we go! Basically, I wanted to go down underneath here because it's actually all flat. Now, the reason why I didn't want to climb on the side of the mountain like I did with the previous platform is because there's a lot of sloped edges around this side of the mountain, and it just gets really hard to climb around. You'll notice we're actually underneath the house, so my plan is just to climb from underneath until we hit the exit. And with a little bit of editing magic, here we are basically at the exit. So yeah, definitely not an easy climb to do, especially when you consider the fact that I haven't been able to let go of my mouse button at all during this climb. Alright, so I'm pretty sure this is me going through the exit gate by this point, so no better way to test if I've actually succeeded than just to fall, right? Okay, we're now in the 5th level, Demolition. This level teaches you that violence is the answer, since the different puzzles in this level involve you smashing, crashing, and bashing your way through everything. Since I want to skip the puzzles, we have to get through here without interacting with normal puzzle elements like buttons or levers, as well as avoiding breaking any breakable walls. Real quick, let's just get around this wall here so we can see a little bit more of the level. So that's a breakable wall, as I mentioned before, and that's breakable glass, and so is that. So yeah, lots of destruction in this level. The layout of this level might actually remind you a bit of level 3 Carry to some extent, since that level also had puzzles separated by walls. But yeah, believe it or not, there's nothing stopping us from just, like, getting up here. So just like Carry, we can actually do some shenanigans by walking along these pipes to avoid all the rooms. This is a bit of a unnerving tightrope situation though, because if I fall into the void, we're gonna have to do this all over again, so let me just be careful here real quick. Okay, looks like we made it with no issues. Sometimes stuff like that is a bit nerve-wracking though, not gonna lie. Now, we do have to carefully make sure we make it to the door, because the hitbox is right behind that curtain. Okay, now all I really have to do is just swing into the hitbox of the exit, and just like that, we managed to complete Demolition. We're now in Castle, which is the introduction to what I consider to be long levels in Human Fall Flat. Levels like these, when played normally, will take some time to navigate. Since we're trying to cheese the puzzles anyway, this will usually result in us taking a lot of shortcuts. But Castle is a really cool level. There's a ton of puzzles, swinging from lights, and even some zipline action I didn't think was possible until I did it with a friend. Unfortunately for us, we're not going to see any of it. Like, the whole main castle. The first route I drew up did involve navigating around the castle puzzles, but I found a more elegant solution. But that's enough stalling. We need to get out of this starting room now. Normally you need to smash this lock with the rock in the room to break it, and then you can open the door. Side note, did you know there is no ceiling in this room? Okay, so like, what did you expect from me? Of course this was always going to go like this. From here, we can see that the main castle is that way, but that's a red herring since the way I want to go is this way. Now, conveniently, there are stairs along this mountain, which means the devs did expect that people would go this way, but I imagine they thought people would be taking this zip line over to this windmill. What I imagine they didn't expect is somebody going around this whole zip line. Oh, hey, look, a drawbridge. Normally, you need to pull this drawbridge down in order to access the exit, but that sounds like interacting with the puzzle normally, so I'm not going to do that. First, let's climb down. Thankfully, there's a space here behind this tower that I can actually just make it into the cave using, and just like that, we've made it to the exit. That's Castle Down. Ugh. Oh, hey, we're halfway through the levels now. Sweet. This level is called Water. You might be surprised to learn that the gimmick of this level's puzzles is, well, water. I know, crazy. Anyways, the general beat of this level is that it starts out as $1 boat versus $1 million boat challenge across the sea, where you eventually get on shore and solve various puzzles involving parkour over water and floating through a canyon until you eventually make it to the top of the mountain. That mountain up there to be exact. Once you're up there, you get a lift to pull a cord that opens up this dam, which causes this river to flow, which causes this water mill to turn. You can use that turning water mill to ride up to this lever, which opens the gate to the exit. Now, you might be thinking, wow, that's suspiciously easy to cheat. The lever to the exit is right next to where you spawn. To that I say, yes, that's true. But remember, pulling a lever, as dumb as it sounds, counts as a puzzle, so in the context of this video, we can't even do that. Okay, so if we can't open the gate, let's just go under it. Easy peasy. First, we need to find a way under the level. Wait, I actually already tried that. You can climb up these rocks using a slightly different technique that's more effective on walls that aren't flat. And if you do use it to climb up the rocks, it's all water, as far as the eye can see. You might still be confused, and that's fair, but let me clear up why this is a bad thing real quick. If you fall into the water, you die. There's no way for us to make it to the edge of the map over there without a boat or something, which again is a puzzle element. So is this the end of the challenge? Did we make it this far just to get stopped by a lever? No. I didn't waste all this time no-lifing this game just to get stuck partway through. There must be another way. And lo and behold, there is. Hitboxes. Okay, so you know how we don't have to go through the doors in other levels for it to count as me completing the levels? That's because I passed through the level's hitbox for the exit before I fell into the void. Just when I was going to give up on this level, I found out that part of the exit hitbox is accessible outside of the big cylinder that's closed off. Specifically, the hitbox pokes out right around here where these polygons meet in the sand. So, say hypothetically I made it over there, moved my player into that hitbox, then fell into the water, what do you think would happen? Well, no better way to find out than by testing. First, we'll need to cross this water without a boat. It's a little easier said than done, but if we build up a little momentum here and then jump from here, we should be able to make it to the other side. This water's a little easier to navigate since you're supposed to be here for the watermill anyways. Now that we're over on this beach, we just need to find the magic polygons and start jumping like crazy. The hitbox is pretty small, so this might take me a couple of tries. Okay, I've been at this for a while and I think I got it, so we can just test this by hitting the water here. Ah, see that loading symbol? That means we got it. Okay, this level is called Power Plant, and this room has no ceiling, so you know the drill. Okay, so you can see that there's a bunch of puzzles over here involving power, which ultimately culminates in you opening a giant door. That door over there to be exact. Obviously from here we can just skip that. Sweet, so now what? Well, normally you'd head over to that far-off mountain to grab coal, load it into this truck, and then drive it over here, and then throw it in these furnaces. The furnaces power some fans in these reactors here, which you can use to reach the exit. Alternatively, we could just not do any of that. If we go to this reactor here in the back, oh hey look, a fan's already on. Now we'll just need to fly to the finish line from here. And hey, if you think that using the fan is cheating, just know that you can climb outside the exit reactor to beat the level. I'm personally not counting this fan since it isn't powered by a furnace, which means it isn't part of the larger puzzle, but regardless of how you choose to beat the level, it is possible to beat it without interacting with the puzzles. Okay, low-key, I've been kind of stalling because I feel like this is going to be kind of hard. But, okay, here we go. Here goes nothing. Come on. Oh, I like the trajectory. Is it going to make it? Oh my god! Yes! I can't believe we did that. Ah! Whew, okay, we're on to the last 4 levels now. I'll be explaining as I go since the normal routes for these levels have like 40 minutes worth of puzzles each. This level is called Aztec, and it used to be the last level in the game. When I first had the idea for this video, this would have been the second to last level I'd go over, but Curve Studios has been updating this game a ton over the years. Anyways, first we'll need to skip this bridge puzzle. Normally, you use a plank of wood as a simple lever under this slab of rock and topple it so that it connects the starting platform to the next platform. The good news is we can avoid creating a bridge using a well-timed momentum jump. Okay, here goes. And we made it. So now that we're on the next platform, we're going to need to avoid this puzzle door. Normally, you use the plank of wood from before to pry these doors open, but here's a flat wall. Okay, so now that we're up here, we're gonna move kind of fast. There are some trees here that we're gonna climb. From here, we're gonna make our way to that temple in the distance. That's where the exit is. Okay, let's keep climbing these trees. Okay, we're in this bird's nest at the top of the trees, and from here you can see the route. We'll walk along that ledge and reach the top of the temple, and then we'll jump into that chute, which takes us to the exit. So yeah, nothing too crazy about this route. We ended up skipping a lot of puzzles going this way, including some lever puzzles and some pulley puzzles. Okay, let's jump on in. Huh? You're kidding. Really? But it worked! Fine. Okay, so turns out we can't take that route. Remember how I didn't parkour across Mansion because there is an achievement for jumping the gaps? Well, the route we just took has an achievement associated with it too. Specifically, that bird's nest we stood in has an achievement tied to it, so I think that whole tree line route should be banned for this level. That's kind of unfortunate, but it just means we have to be more creative. Actually, here's a terrible map of Aztec that I drew up in MS Paint. We start about here, and the exit is about here. Now that we can't take the tree route, we don't have a direct line from start to finish. In fact, this whole part of the level being highlighted is a no-go. The reason is because we'd have to jump across falling platforms, dodging hammers, which is exactly how you play the normal route. Well, okay, calling that a puzzle when there's nothing to solve is a little bit of a stretch, but better safe than sorry. So, my route will need to somehow cut across this gap. Actually, there's a wall that connects this section with this section, so we just need to climb across that wall to make it to the other side. The only question that remains is, how do we even get to that part of the level? Well, we know we can get to the second platform without using the bridge, so we could try going the normal route until we make it to that part. The only other method that remains is potentially getting across this gap and then moving backwards through the level until we hit that wall. From there, we just need to find a way into the temple. Going through the level normally does work, but there's a lot more climbing involved, so I think we're going to try and find a way across the gap. The pillar over there actually looks pretty close, so let's do a momentum jump over. Okay, here we go. Oh, nice. Okay, now that we've made it up here, let's make our way over to this platform. There's a checkpoint on that block there. The bad news is if I fall, then I'm going to have to come all the way back here because this is further into the level. The good news is there's only really 2 major jumps between me and that wall over there. Just like before, we'll be utilizing momentum jumps. I know I make it look easy, but these are actually pretty difficult to master. And look, there's the wall. This jump is actually a little tough since the platform we're jumping onto is pretty thin. That means we just don't have as much to grab onto. Luckily, momentum jumps are still good enough to take us across this gap. Now let's go ahead and traverse this wall. Nice, and up there is the temple that has the exit in it. Normally we'd be doing a puzzle, but I think you see where this is going. So yeah, all that's left now is making our way into the temple. We could climb our way all the way to the top of the temple since that isn't necessarily part of the achievement route, but since we're down here, let's see if we can avoid any unnecessary climbing. Normally you need to use a lever system to open the door to the temple, but that's interacting with the puzzle normally, so we can't do that. I experimented with a friend to see if we could make it under the door here. Technically we got it to work, but I had to shove him under with a plank, which I can't use now since that's an element of the door puzzle. Once we got him partway under though, we didn't need the plank to get him the rest of the way through. So in theory, all I have to do is make it partway under the door. I can press Y on my keyboard to ragdoll, but it's pretty hard to control how I land. If I'm lucky, if I ragdoll into the door, we'll be able to just squeeze on through. Whew, okay, now we're in the temple and we can just leave. Oh, welcome to Dark. This was the last level when I made my first Human Fall Flat video. Time sure flies. Anyways, we started off in a cabin with a locked door and no ceiling. So now that we're out here, we run into our first challenge. Normally, you chop this tree here to create a log bridge. We can't do that though, so we need another way across. And in case you were curious, yes, a momentum jump will get us across. Huh, pretty convenient. Next, we need to get through this gate. An astute observer would notice a lock on the gate and a keyhole in that lock. Then they'd see a smelter with a key-shaped hole to its side. Then they would deduce that they need to somehow make a key and open the gate. Someone like me would look at this gate and think, can I climb over those rock pillars? So, to make a long story short, yes you can. The gap here is insanely long, and there is a trick to getting across this massive gap, but it involves using puzzle elements. Also, even if we did make it to that giant mansion, the exit is blocked by an electricity puzzle, so we'd need to find another way around anyways. Luckily, we can avoid anything we'd consider a puzzle on the way around the gap. I'm going to avoid grabbing that minecart since that's actually how you're intended to get on the rails normally. If you're playing at home and you don't consider the minecart to be a puzzle element, then by all means take it, more power to you. Me personally, I'm just trying to avoid getting yelled at by the comments saying I cheated them or something. But yeah, now that we're down here, we're just gonna climb this wall. So now comes this level's biggest skip. Normally, we'd power the elevator up ahead, make our way into the mansion and do some puzzling around, then solve the exit puzzle and win. Alternatively, we can just walk around this elevator and jump onto this stalactite. Let's climb around so you can see why I'm doing this. Behind this circle of stalactites is a flat ceiling and a mysterious hole in the center. This hole is actually the same hole you fall into if you jump through the exit. So we just need to make it to the exit's hitbox from below and we'll be able to make it to the next level. Looking at it from below, it's a little easier said than done. This is about a 15-minute climb and I have to keep at least one finger pressing down on my mouse as I climb. Hopefully my hand doesn't hurt too much after I do this. Okay, it was a rough climb, but we made it to the top. Now, all we have to do is drop and I'll see you at the penultimate level. Arrgh! This level is called Steam. Steam. That's like the platform I own this game on. Sick. The puzzles in this level are based on, well, steam generators, or something. I'm not gonna beat around the bush. There's only one part of this level that's really tough, but I think we can do it. First, we'll start by climbing this wall. So, the exit is in that cylindrical building way off in the distance. Getting into the building is the easy part, finding a way over, not so much. But first, this gap. Okay, we'll just do a quick momentum jump over to skip this beginning portion. Oh my god, that's gotta hurt. Now, from here, we need to find a way to get across this massive gap. Normally, you have to use that steel beam using that crane in order to build a bridge that you can use to get there. There is no way I can get across using momentum. Well, unless I got much higher up, I guess. Oh, hey, look, a tall water tower. Okay, we're gonna try and make it across with a momentum jump. Luckily, the towers are pretty flat on the top here, so it should be stable enough to actually get a good attempt in. Here goes. Oh. Oh my god, wow, that worked better than I expected. Okay, so how the ending of this level normally works is that you use some pipes scattered around to fix the steam generator, which causes this wheel to gain power, which you can grab on to move really fast and fling yourself into the building, which will then crumble under the force you hit it with, opening up the exit. The easier path is to climb under the level. See, there's the exit hole right there. I'm just gonna climb into it real quick to make sure I get into the exit's hitbox. So, now that we've made it in, I'll just jump down into the last level. Oof! This is it, the final level. We beat this level by skipping all the puzzles, and we will have completed the challenge. This level is called Ice. The puzzles melt, slide, and are generally fun. We start out here and... Actually, hang on, let me climb up here so we can get a better vantage point on everything. Okay, so we start out here, then we need to make our way through a gauntlet of puzzles which ultimately leads to that ice door right there. The one across this river. Yeah, let's build up some momentum. This jump can be a little tricky because you can end up too low into the water and end up respawning. But yeah, now that we're here, I'm gonna head over this way real quick to grab a checkpoint in case I die somehow. Better safe than sorry. So now to figure out what we need to do, we need to know where we need to go. There's good news and bad news. The good news is I know where the exit is. The bad news is where the exit is. You see that far off rock formation that's shaped like a human? There's your exit. Normally we need to activate these chairlifts, but we can just climb this wall instead. From here, we'll just jump over to this platform, and now we have to climb. See you in a second. Okay, this is the last major puzzle. To get to the exit as intended, you have to activate this detonator which causes the human rock to fall. That creates a bridge you can cross to reach the exit, and then you win! We can't use the detonator, and the real troubling thing is that the momentum jumps won't be enough to get us across the gap here. Despite how this looks, I'm not going to pretend like I don't have a plan. It's gonna suck, but I do have a plan. Let's go back in time a little to something I said earlier in this video. The gap here is insanely long, and there is a trick to getting across this massive gap, but it involves using puzzle elements. The trick I had in mind is still possible here, and it's probably about time I explain what that trick is. Back in Dark, I could have brought a small item with me like an axe and brought it with me to the edge of that jump. Then, as we fall, we put the axe below us and spam jump. For some reason, the game treats the axe like a floor in this state, so we're able to get some extra verticality that wouldn't usually be possible. There's two reasons I didn't do that. First, getting an axe through the gate would have been annoying. Second, the tree bridge puzzle to get across the first gap requires you to use the axe to knock the tree over, so the axe is technically a puzzle element we need to avoid. So we have a massive gap. Do we have any small items I can use to jump on as we fall? Turns out, yes. The TNT here is purely cosmetic. It doesn't actually blow up and is not used in any puzzles in the level. Ordinarily, there isn't much of a point to interacting with random objects like this, but in this case, it just saved the challenge. Actually, getting across the gap is the easy part. Okay, here we go. Okay, we just made it to the other side. Now comes the hard part. I should get underneath so you can see what I'm talking about. So we're down here at the bottom, and up there at the top is where the exit's hitbox is. Apart from mountain, this will probably be the longest climb in the game. So, here goes. Oh, my hands are starting to hurt and I've barely gotten up here. However bad you think this climb is, it's like 10 times worse, I'm telling you. If you play this game and you feel like torturing yourself, you should at least try to do this climb once, because oh my god. This would have been so much easier if they had just made the walls flat like everything else. Don't look now, but we're actually almost to the exit. Anyways, oh my goodness, finally. Now all that's left is blissful falling. Oh! Okay, this is technically still a part of Ice, but it plays the same as Mansion, so, yeah, a little anticlimactic at the end there, but a little nostalgic, no? Now that we've actually gotten through all these levels, we're just gonna solve Mansion the way we've been solving a lot of our problems. Look, there's a part of me that wants to go under the level again, but my fingers still hurt from doing all of Ice. Look, here's the bridge that sucked to get past before. And now, for real this time, let's end the challenge. Ah! Okay, this isn't some secret level, I promise. It's actually just the title screen now. Also, side note, apparently Chun-Li worked on this game. You go, girl. Anyway, so yeah, that's all of Human Fall Flat done by skipping every puzzle in the game. It's actually a really fun game if you haven't played it before. I'd recommend giving it a try. You can play solo or multiplayer, and it's pretty fun either way. Now, I did beat the main game, but there are more levels. If you like this video enough, I'll go through and actually beat all of the extra levels in the game. There are like 29 levels in the full game, including the 12 in the main game that I just played through, and the devs have indicated recently that they plan on adding even more levels. If there is a part 2 of this video, just pray for my sanity, since the extra levels tend to be on the harder side of things. If you watched this whole video, thanks! You probably like my style of content. I'd like to create more challenge videos like this, so if you want to see when those come out, please consider subscribing. Anyways, thanks again for watching, and until next time, take care.